mastery. What part of England are you in?
I'm in the UK. I'm in the southwest of England. It's called Cornwall.
Cornwall.
Yeah.
I've heard of it. Yeah. I say it differently. Cornwall, like an American.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually a northerner, so the people in Cornwall don't say it like me because I'm actually from the northwest. So I'm not Cornish. They call themselves Cornish here, but
Amazing. I did notice that you do have a northern accent.
yeah.
I got a. It's what?
Bolton.
Bolton? I don't know Bolton. I don't know Bolton. Where is Bolton?
It's about 15 minutes drive from Manchester City.
Oh, okay. Okay. Should I now ask you if you ever met any of the Beatles or any of that cheesy stuff?
I haven't actually met any of the Beatles in person. They were kind of Liverpool based, weren't they? So Manchester's more close to myself, but I've not really met any famous bands either. Like you got Stones and that kind of thing, and quite a lot of famous bands from Manchester. But I haven't met any of them in person.
I'm teasing. I'm just being an idiot, but I know that.
Yeah, it's a fair question because I mean I have met like a lot of actors and stuff like in city because it's not a huge place, is it? The England and sort of thing. So I have met some famous people, but
yeah. Well, you met me. I'm so famous.
Yeah, you're a huge rock star, aren't you?
In my mind. So yeah, John, we talked a couple days ago, and I guess we did meet on Clubhouse.
We did,
and
yeah,
and I didn't even realize. I was like, this guy seems so familiar to me, and then we did the Instagram follow each other thing, and but here we are. So we were talking about I was telling you, art is life and life is art. It's the tagline of this show. And you, I know, are a martial artist.
I am indeed, yeah.
And you have, I guess you kind of branded yourself the Sales Samurai, right?
I did indeed, yeah. That came from many years of martial arts training. But the thing that related it to sales was I was actually doing door-to-door selling as part of my, should we say, training for the karate. So when I was doing my belts and grades and things like that, I wasn't expected to pay for it because it was a training to become an instructor full time. Right. But I was expected to build up the classes for the existing instructors and like obviously eventually my own classes. I was expected to build them up by doing door to door and promoting the classes that way. So that's how I kind of built my foundation of sales and selling was actually directly linked to my martial arts.
So was that the dojo owner's agreement with you?
Yeah, it was kind of like, yeah, exactly. We had two, they were called renches. So renches is a little bit like you got senseis and then you go up and then you got renches and kyoshis and those are kind of like the higher grades, sort of like the dan grades and stuff. But yeah, so I was taught by the fifth dans and we just built classes up for them. So they run the actual academy. And then they had instructors under them that were running separate classes in sort of the whole of the southwest of England. They covered different areas. So I was kind of covering one area and building up the classes in that area, but we had instructors in different parts.
I would say that they got the better end of the deal.
Well, they did, yeah. Of course they did, because it was their club. I mean, it was their club, wasn't it? It wasn't mine.
I mean, exactly. So, I mean, it's a hell of a hustle they got there. Listen, kid, see, I know you want to get that black belt, see? So if you want to get the black belt, we'll give it to you for free, but you got to knock on doors, see? Yeah, cold call. That's the toughest sell in the world.
Well, to be honest with you, though, it wasn't. We still earned the belt. It wasn't. They didn't give away the belts. I had to know what I was doing.
I know. I'm taking the piss. I'm taking the piss.
The thing was, I wouldn't have. The beauty is, and the kind of, should we say, the bit of sweetness about it was, I would not have knocked doors for that long if I hadn't had the goal in mind of the black belt. It was the black belt that drove me through the dark times and through the door knocking in the blizzards and the pissing down rain. I'm in England; it rains all the time, so every night I was getting piss wet through with torrential rain, and I was like knocking on doors. It's a joke. I mean, it's funny now. It wasn't funny at the time. Believe me.
No, it's not funny at all.
So.
Yeah, it's brutal. I mean, we talked about it. I told you I knocked on doors here out in Los Angeles. I'm not going to say what I did it for, but yeah, it was insane. It's brutal.
Well,
And
at
if
least it
it's
was dry and sunshine. I bet you had a t-shirt.
at least it was, I just was going to say, at least it was dry and sunny and it wasn't just cold and wet, because, fuck. But yeah, it's a tough sell. So let's segue into what that experience did in terms of you becoming now a trainer of salespeople in cold calling, as your sign behind you attests.
Yeah, well, like I say, it was kind of it's been a progressive sort of transition. I didn't just go right from door to door to straight into sort of coaching. It didn't work like that at all. I sort of transitioned into working from home and then like affiliate marketing and lead generation from home and that kind of thing. So I got used to different aspects of the sales process, not just the door knocking and the closing. And obviously presentations in person. I got used to sort of vocally doing it and using the internet and that kind of thing and reaching out and connecting with people and building a network online. And then I moved on to actually closing for other influencers. So for influencers with a big following who've got like 6K offers or 10K offers or whatever it is they're doing.
So you were doing that?
Yeah, I was selling like closing. So that's why the closing aspect comes in as well. So the cold calling and the closing. So so I'd get a percentage, like 20% commission or 30% commission for closing sort of 6 or 8 or whatever packages. So that was like that's the most recent part of the journey. But now I'm kind of, I've not only written the book, now it's kind of building the actual coaching side of things and actually teaching people as well.
And you told me, you were telling me when we spoke about 2-3 days ago that you've got a new course coming out.
Yeah, that's in the pipeline at the moment. So I'm just putting putting the ideas together. I've got somebody that's going to work closely with me, and they're going to provide the should we say the clients for me. So all I have to focus on is doing the course itself. So it's going to be a 6-week course, roughly 90 minutes a week, I'm thinking. So they get 90 minutes every week on the different topics. It's going to be called cold calling and closing mastery. But I'm going to break it down into individual topics each week. So the first week will probably be prospecting and cold calling. And then it might be building a network and keeping the right mindset. And then it might be following up and whatever. And so each week we'll cover a different topic until the last day or the last week we'll be covering the closing and the techniques of actually.
It's interesting. As I listen to you, I'm hearing, I mean, it's kind of come full circle. You were closing for influencers, and now you've got these people closing for you, kind of bringing you the leads and closing for you, right?
Yeah. Well, that's the beauty of it, isn't it? I mean, what I like about it is I will still be able to generate my own because I've got different things in place that is kind of lead generation from my podcast, all organic sort of stuff. So I've got my podcast, Facebook groups, this kind of thing. So I might find that I can attract them myself and put them straight in, which doesn't cost me any money. But I'm quite happy to give a percentage out of a fee so that I can get it done for me.
Of course, we're just absolutely destroying all of the mystique around all these influencers and all these wankers who are like, my course this and my course that. No disparagement, because I'm actually in the process of creating a few courses of my own. But it's nice that you're not full of shit like most of them are. Talking about it's the greatest and this is the thing and you've got to have it. Then you find out the price tag. It's just $10,000. Really?
No. Well, what I want to do, is I've always been a believer in giving more than what I'm getting back. So if they get sort of 100K value out of a 4K product, then I've done my job.
No, that's fine, but you're not taking that angle. It's something that bothers the hell out of me. I talk to you about it, these internet marketers, these direct response marketers. There are a lot of good ones, but unfortunately the majority of them, and this is what I'm addressing, these influencer realm, these are the kind of people that do these things. And I'm not saying you are not that guy at all. I mean, you were out there knocking on doors in the rain, getting doors slammed in your face. Man, but seriously, that's a whole thing that none of these clowns have ever done in their life. They think they pick up a phone and someone goes, "Hey, what's your program about?" "Oh, it's great. Just give me your credit card number." That's selling. Not really. So a lot of these people they're very unscrupulous. So that's why I'm talking about this, and that's why I'm making light of it. And I know you realize this, but
yeah, of course, Dad. And that's kind of one of the main points that I try and get across to people. And the more I voice my opinion, the more people know about me, the more they realize that it's not about that at all. I'm trying to make people look at sales as they should look at it, rather than the way they do, like thinking it's sleazy, thinking it's full of con men, and thinking all this and the other, when really you get the sales professionals or the sales samurais that are genuine, and they want to help you, and that they're offering service, and they'll follow up, and they'll stay with you, and you can come back to me for guidance and that kind of thing. It's like a relationship, rather than just, there you go, give me 10K and I don't want to hear from you again.
I mean, well said. Yeah, no, it's a whole different angle. I just remember when these gurus, these influencers were first starting out, and it was a crazy time. It's not like that anymore. So I'll stop talking about that. But it's interesting how art is imitating life, and life is imitating art, especially with what you're doing. You know, you started out martial arts, at an actual art, right? And part of the gig to get the deal to get your belts was that you had to go out. You could train for free, and you had to, learn how to do your stuff, but you had to go out and knock on doors for them to have people come and take classes from them. And then from that, you actually got quite good at selling. Cold calling is the bane of any salesperson's existence. I mean, I've never seen people like backsides pucker up quite so quickly as when they have to do cold calls.
It really is kind of, I find it amusing now, but like I say, I would have been exactly the same. If it had been 15, 20 years ago, I'd have been like, what? Cold call? No, thanks. And even exactly. my partner now is like, I don't know how you do that. And I'm like, it just doesn't bother me at all. It does not bother me. I can do it every day, and I still do it now. I'll just pick up a phone, ring Joe Blogs and say, hi, how's it going? I know you do this, and I know you do that. Are you interested in this, this, and this? No. All right. Cheers. Bye. Ring another one. It just does not bother me at all. And that the more people that can get like that in their business or in their life, and just have that mentality, they'll just see improvements in all areas of their business. I will kind of argue to the death, and people still tell me now that cold calling is dead, and I just have this permanent smile on my face, and I just say, listen, mate, you just need to smile and dial. Smile and dial.
Yeah, you got to come up with a catchy jingle phrase motto like that to get people
smile
through
and
dial. You're right. I don't care what business anyone's in. I really don't. And if they don't admit this, they're bullshitting you. They're lying to you for whatever reason, trying to position themselves as something other than what they are. But you're right. Every business person, every industry, you're going to do cold calling. You're going to. I don't care if you're even in an established, business where people know what it is. When you hang up your shingle, male or female, right? He or she or they, or however you want to identify, you're going to have to do some cold calling. So you're going to have to get through it. Let me ask you, when you first started and you got nervous about cold calling versus where you are now, what's the key thing, the switch that went off that made you have the feeling you have now? You're like, smile and dial, the hell with it. If they say no, fine, thanks.
Yeah, I think it's a mixture of a few different things, and one of them is having the right mindset. So the way I look at it is, I am going to hear lots of no's every day, right? So say, for example, I plan my day and I'm going to make 30 phone calls, 30 cold calls in that day. I'm going to hear a lot of no's. That's if I get through to people. So this is why a lot of it, people say it's a numbers game, and to a certain degree, there is elements of that in it, cold calling, because especially the cold calling, maybe not so much the closing. If you're getting a calendar full of warm leads, it's slightly different. It maybe not be so much of a numbers game then, but with cold calling, it's definitely a numbers game, because
I would agree.
You're probably not going to get that many people answering the phone for starters. You're going to get a lot of people going through to voicemail. So your actual human contact is already depleting. So you need to give yourself the best chance. If you only make 5 phone calls in a day, 5 cold calls, you're probably not going to speak to any of them. You might get 5 voicemails there. So you're just not giving yourself a chance.
That's true. No, it's true.
At least 30 or even 50 a day. If you're doing 50, you're giving yourself a better chance. You might speak to 5 or even 10 of those 50. And out of those are the ones you need to make count. So out of that 10 people you speak to, you may only get one or two of them slow a slight bit of interest, and it's those two that you're concerned about. The rest of the no's or the no answers just don't concern. It's every time I hear a no, it's just a little closer to a yes. So anytime I hear a no, in my head, that's just a miniature yes. Forget no. No is just yes. So that's the way you look at it. So every time I hear a no, that's just getting me closer to that yes. So say, for example, you're closing for somebody or you're cold calling for somebody, and every time you seal a deal or for whoever you're working for, you get $300, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So if it takes me, I need to speak to sort of 50 people to get to, I need to make contact with 10, I need to hear no 50 times to get that one yes. Each one of those 50 no's is equivalent to $300, isn't it? So I'll hear 50 no's all day long if it means I get $300. So that's the way you need to think about it. That 50 times you're hearing no is equivalent to $300 or whatever it is. So just think of it like that. And that's one easy way of getting over it. And just what I say, it's like feeling the pain and doing it anyway. Because we can all go, oh, I don't like that, and stop doing it. But that's not going to give you any kind of strength or sort of any, should we say, endurance. Whereas if you keep hearing no all the time and it's repetitive over and over again and phones slamming on you, it's like, it just doesn't concern me anymore. So that's what you need to get to that stage.
So interesting. You know, you're right about that. What I'm hearing you say, and anyone's listening to this, I hope you guys are hearing this as well. It's really a practical, pragmatic approach that John's taking, because it's not complicated. It doesn't require some special hack, which everyone loves to say these days, right? It doesn't require some kind of, I don't know, magical finger movement on your phone or whatever. None of that matters. Did you have the right headset on? Did you drink your coffee? You know, none of that matters. It's simply, did you do it? Show up, do what everyone else is not willing to do, and you will get results that everyone else is not getting. And they're like, well, what's that magic? It's fucking just roll your sleeves up and make the calls. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
You just reminded me of something I hadn't thought about in a while. Probably about, so we're in 2021, so it's been a while. So I want to say it was like around 2007-ish. I got burnt out in my business up here in Hollywood, right? I got tired of it. My agent stole from me again for the third time. And I was like, fuck this. I am tired of this BS. Because in Hollywood, you know, actors really don't have very much power or control over anything. Which is a frustrating place to be. But anyway, the point of this is I said, the hell with it. I went and confronted my agent. I got the money back, ended my relationship. And I'd had a relationship with the agent for, 15 years, 17 years, something like that. And it was just amazing. Like, he felt comfortable enough to do that. And to be fair, they do it to all actors. They do this theft all the time, and I don't need to get into that. It's another conversation. So I just stopped for 3 years. I stopped working. I stopped doing anything with acting. Dumb, really stupid. I do not recommend anyone does it, but this idiot did. And finally, I was like, "What are you doing? You cut your nose off to spite your face? Hello, you know." So it was just time to get a new agent. Like, I needed a commercial agent. I needed a theatrical agent. Maybe I'd get a manager. Maybe I don't know, but I needed representation, and, you know, I'd taken myself out of the game. So I had to do what you're talking about, which is literally cold call. It was ice cold in the fact that these people hadn't heard from me, these agencies, a good deal of them. It wasn't ice cold because, you know, a lot of them did know about me. Casting directors, agents, you know, directors, producers, writers, etc. But I just sat down one morning and I banged out. I found 60 agencies that I knew I had at least a fighting chance to get into. There's not really any way you're going to get picked up by one of the big agencies. And I just did what you talked about, except instead of cold, I sent an email. I cold emailed them, each one of them. for 60 of them. And then the next day and the next day for the following, I don't know, week, pick up the phone. Nobody does this anymore, by the way. People like, what's you doing? But I just picked up the phone and I followed up. Hey, this is Dar Dixon. I sent you an email yesterday. Just wanted to follow up if you got it. You know, some of them were like, go kick rocks. Yes, we received it. We'll be in touch with you. Follow up tomorrow. Who are you? Why are you calling? Any form of that stuff.
Yeah.
But, you know, within a week, I did what most actors seemingly can't ever do. And it's not magic. You know, I had representation. I think it was probably within 10 days of that process. And it was only because I sent out these emails, cold emails, and then followed up with a phone call and kept following up until I got meetings booked.
Yeah.
Same thing you're doing.
You just rolled your sleeves up and got on with it because you knew it needed to be done. That's what people shy away from, isn't it?
Yeah.
The thing is, people are doing this every day. People are cold calling, cold outreach every day, but it's exactly the same thing. So there's no difference between me picking up a phone to ring somebody that I don't know, than somebody sending somebody some spammy message on LinkedIn, which happens every single day. I get it from these professionals on LinkedIn every single day.
Every
They're sending
day.
me some junk about their service. They don't know anything about me. They don't know anything about my business. They just say, you're a good fit for this, this, and that. I'm like, no, I'm not. You don't know what I'm doing. You don't know anything about me. Piss off. But that's spam, isn't it? That's cold outreach. That's cold calling. But they just seem to think that's different to cold calling, but it's not. It's exactly the same thing.
You said something about mindset. I wanted to talk. I don't want to talk about it necessarily. I want to hear you. We can talk about it.
Yeah,
I agree with you 100% because everything starts up in the mind. And I've said this a million times. At a certain point, whatever industry, whatever career you're in, whatever your career is within that industry, you realize that pretty much everybody in that industry that you're in and the career that you've chosen are pretty damn good. You know, that's why they're there. And even if they're not doing a great job, they still have knowledge and information and experience. And so that's what I'm talking about. It's a fairly level playing field. And then if you want to stand out, you realize it all starts here. And so we're just talking about cold call. Like, well, yeah, everything's a cold call, man. Like everything is, right? On some level. So if you're having trouble picking up the phone or sending the email or whatever for your business, your career, your industry, then you got to ask yourself, well, what's going on? Do you not believe in yourself, or do you not believe in your product? Do you not believe in your service? Do you not believe in your talent, your skills, your knowledge, your information? Because that's where you go. And once you get settled with that, once you get your head on straight, you can call 10 Downing Street. You can call the White House. I don't know that you're going to get through, but you can do it, and you don't have any problem with it because you realize nothing happens until you start selling.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've literally, especially like we're talking about the podcast, for example, I've literally reached out to anybody, just all these big celebrities. I don't care because most of the time they don't even respond to you, but you might just get that one out of every. Again, it's like cold calling again, isn't it? So I'm going to send like Dwayne The Rock Johnson a message, or bloody Sly Stallone, or whoever, all these big wigs. I'll just send them all emails or whatever voice messages. Most of the time they don't even, because they've got that bigger following, they don't even get checked. But every now and again you might get through to one, and they might say, "Oh, I only deal with audiences bigger than 50,000 or whatever, or whatever. You don't have a big enough audience." But then you just go on to the next one, the next one, the next one. Just keep putting yourself out there. There's only so many times you can put yourself out there and get rejected before something happens. Even actors say this, don't they? I hear a lot of actors say this, to say, keep putting yourself out there, putting yourself out there. It's a tricky industry. It's difficult. And you just keep taking the rejections and keep going. And then eventually, boom, you get your spot, you get your spotlight, don't you? Or whatever it is they're looking for. So you just got to keep taking them knockbacks. And when especially with sales, it's not, I say this all the time, right? So you can be your own best friend or your own worst enemy. So it's all about what you tell yourself. So it's about getting things into your subconscious mind. So before you go to sleep, if you're saying, I'm the best, I'm the greatest salesman. There's a book called The Greatest Salesman in the World. I've read it by Og Mandino. So that's what I used to tell myself every day when I was going out door knocking. I'm the greatest salesman in the world. I am the greatest salesman in the world. I'm the greatest salesman in the world. So the more I say it, the more I believe it. No, I might not be the greatest salesman in the world, but I'm a damn sight better than if I didn't tell myself that.
That's not the point, though, is it? Right. Exactly. Exactly. Interesting. So you realize the power of that. I read that book when I was 18 years old.
Yeah.
I read
you need to read it again.
Yeah, you read it all. Exactly. You got to read these books all the time. And I used to always feel like, oh, I would hide the book. I didn't want anybody to see me reading it because my friends would start making fun of me. Like, what the fuck are you doing, man? What is that? What? The greatest salesman? Dude, put that shit away. Let's go drink beers. And I was always like, yeah, I'll come and drink beer with you. We'll chase the girls. We'll go to parties. We'll, smoke weed. We'll do whatever. But, I'm not going to do this forever, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But that's that Og Mandino quote about, saying the affirmation yourself, I'm the greatest salesman in the world. Look, man, whether you are or you're not, the only thing you're going to do is reinforce yourself when you go out there and knock the door or you pick up the phone or send the email.
Yeah. It's like, well, if you set your sights low, then you're going to reach even lower. If you set your sights sky high, then you might it's like aim for the stars and reach the clouds or whatever, isn't it? I'd rather reach the clouds than the top of a tree, isn't it? So whenever I was setting myself goals, I always set, like when I was doing daily goals on the doors, I'd set myself sort of a goal of 5 appointments and sort of or 6 or 8 appointments with 5 new members every night. So that's quite a lot. I mean, you might find I'd only get 2 or 3, but that's better than saying I want to get 2 or 3 appointments and 1 new member, because that's just not going to happen. So just always set your sights high, because then you may reach someone nearer that than if you set them low and flake out.
Agreed. Yeah, you do. You have to shoot for the stars. But they always say, like, aim for the moon. If you miss, you're still going to land in the stars. I think that's the saying. Exactly. Yeah, but you do have to do that. Yeah, well, we'll talk about that later. That's not so important. So now you live. You're in Cornwall.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. What's the population in Cornwall? I'm just curious.
I don't know. It's quite. It's not, because it's kind of an unusual part of the country. It's kind of very sort of isolated, really, and they have their own language down here. It's Celtic, and they genuinely think a lot, especially the older generation. They genuinely think they're Cornish and not English. If you know anything about the UK, we've got different countries. I know a lot of times I speak to Americans, they just think the UK is one country, but it's not. We're built up of a number of different countries. We've got England, Scotland, Wales, and then we've got Ireland, which is a kind of not part of us and kind of is. It's a bit weird. But Welsh have got what they call their own language, which is Celtic, and so do Cornwall, which is still part of England, but they consider themselves Cornish. They've got their own flag and everything. So even though they are part of England, they kind of think they're not. They're kind of trying to separate themselves. So it's kind of kind of isolated and a little bit different, a little bit kind of quirky compared to the rest of the country.
There's a strong independent spirit there.
There is, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. For all of the non-UK listeners, UK stands for United Kingdom, much like, this is specifically for the American audience, United States. There are many states within the United States. There are many.
The major difference is the United States is one. Well, if you want to call it one country, isn't it? Whereas we're the United Kingdom, but we're broken up into different countries, not different states. We've got different countries. So England and Wales are 2 different countries. And England and Scotland are different countries, so we have different laws, different governments.
True, and I was going to say that. And I've talked about this before. This is a little bit of a tangent, but in reality, each one of our states are individual countries.
That's crazy. Yeah, I know.
It is absolutely. Well, we are in such a shit show over here in the United States, as some may or may not know who aren't in the United States. Weird time, the weirdest time. I never thought I'd ever see anything like this in my lifetime. But even before all this insanity and this fascism and this authoritarianism that's running rampant across the entire world, I moved a lot. I moved like over 80 times. I don't know if you are aware of that or not. And so I've lived in a lot of different cities and states. Yeah. And it was always apparent to me, but I always just took that as factual knowledge information that everybody has. And then as I got older, I realized they didn't. You know, each state is like a different country. Look, I live in California right now. The difference between Southern California, where I live, and Northern California and Central California, man, come on. I mean, first of all, the size of the state is bigger than I don't know how many different countries. And within the state, there are such differences geographically, weather-wise, culturally, foods, interests. It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
See, what I've always found odd as well, or unusual, is, well, we've not had the death sentence here, or capital punishment. We've not had that since the 70s. We used to hang here. We never did, or I don't think we ever did electric chair or anything like that. We used to hang people. But that got scrapped in the 70s. But over there, what I find odd is for the same crime in two different places in the state. So one state you get the death sentence, in another you get away with it. Oh, it's just bizarre. I just found that I couldn't get my head around it, sort of thing.
Correct. It's correct. Part of the insanity of whatever. It's insane. Yeah, you I mean, on another note, young black kid named Khalif Browder got arrested for, I forget what his violation was, some minor infraction. He's 15 years old. They threw him in Rikers Island in New York City. It's one of the most horrifying places you could ever be thrown in jail, prison. And he couldn't afford to pay the bail, which is a frequent problem in this country, you know, and because you can't afford to pay bail, you stay in jail. And then once you're in jail, people don't understand. People of color do understand, because unfortunately they're the ones who are targeted the most. Any little thing that the guard or the institute, the prison or the jail wants to tack onto you as an infraction increases your time. And so you may come in for, I swear to you, this is what happened. And this young man was put in solitary confinement, beaten to death, and ended up dying. For something as stupid as, I don't even remember what it was.
Minor, some minor offense. Yeah.
If he looked like you or me, would never have occurred. Never have occurred. Yeah, it's insane. I'll cold call for that law to change any day of the week. See, now they're talking about mindset.
Get smiling and dialing then.
I'll be smiling. Well, I might be smiling.
Growling and dialing.
Exactly. Gritted teeth. Just fuck. Anyway, so when is this new course year coming out?
Oh, sorry. Well, I mean, as soon as possible, really. I just need to put a few things in place. So probably get the actual framework put together, and everybody will probably require workbooks. So just the kind of, should we say, the organisation of it, really. But as soon as possible, I'm hoping in the next month or two tops, really.
Right on. Great. Let me ask you this. Before you got into going after your belts and martial arts, and you studied karate?
It was karate. Well, I've studied a number of different disciplines, but the one that I was doing for the sales and the instructor, the sensei, was karate. Yeah.
Okay. And do you have black belt now?
I have a black belt. Yeah. Well, I mean, I got a black belt many years ago. So am I still a black belt in karate? Possibly not, but I achieved black belt. I've not done karate since. I've done other arts. I did a Muay Thai. I competed in Muay Thai, and nowadays I do kung fu and Chinese arts and stuff like that. So
I just want to go on record. I'll still kick your ass. No black belt, no Muay Thai. I'll knock a motherfucker out.
Well, okay. But it's all about.
Just kidding. Guys always like to say
the true sort of philosophy of karate is you never strike first, like, you know, the strike first, strike fast and all that. That's bullshit. I love it.
Bullshit.
I actually use that as one of my mottos, because I love Cobra Kai and I love Karate Kid. But that strike first, strike hard, no mercy, that's bullshit, because karate, you never strike first. You're always on the defense and like peace, trying to keep peace, and then you only attack.
Well, you're always seeking peace. That's martial. That's the art of martial art, right?
Absolutely. So
Self-defense.
you don't. Self-defense isn't smashing someone in the teeth first, is it? Self-defense is letting them attack you and then going for it, kind of thing. So that's the logic.
Sometimes you have to, do what you have to do. I used to. I don't like fighting. I don't. But I'm the oldest of three boys, and all three of my brothers are gay men.
Yeah.
And so growing up with these really crazy Persian names, and looking like white guys, and then my brothers are gay, we moved a lot. So there was a lot of attention, and they took the brunt of it. And so my parents would always tell me that, you're your brother's keeper. My father would, not my parents, but you're your brother's keeper, and, you got to go knock the hell out of these guys. I'm like, I don't want to fight. These guys are older. They're bigger. There's more of them. I don't care, So I had to learn how to fight. But to your point, in martial arts, I learned very quickly the best way to engage in a fight, to walk away. Let them call you whatever they want to call you. Walk away. And until it's unavoidable.
Yeah, absolutely. What I used to do a lot on the doors, I used to do a lot of security when I left the military. So there's we've learned a lot of like different techniques and strategies then. So always have your hands up like that, because that is saying, look, I'm not interested. But that is a fighting stance. If I clench my fist and I'm already in a fighting stance, so even though it looks like it's passive, you're ready for action just by doing that. And not only that, if you're caught on camera with your arms open, that's saying, look, I don't want to know. So if they continue to come at you aggressively, then you're in your rights to sort of attack.
So crazy. Here we are. We're talking about fighting. No, it is smart. You always walk away from the fight. Always, Absolutely. Always. Until it's unavoidable. And you're right. Keep your hands up. I don't want any problem. I don't want any problems. You got your hands up. You can stop a blow, a punch, a kick, whatever. A lot easier if they're down here. Yeah. God, crazy world, right? All this fighting shit all the time. For as much as we've allegedly evolved, like we talked about this before, we really haven't. We really haven't.
Yeah.
Not that much.
Yeah. Well, I do question it massively, because if you think about, like, if you go back to like the Mayans and all that, and the Egyptians and stuff, if their cultures were crazy advanced for the time, wasn't they? If you think about how long ago it was, if anything, I think we're going we're going backwards.
It's true. I used to think, but I never really paid much attention, excuse me, to history. And then as I gotten older, history fascinates me. You look back at the Egyptians, the Mayans, the African nations, you look at the Asians, you look at the country I'm part of, Iran.
Yeah.
The advancement.
What was that called originally? They had a different name at the time, didn't they?
They called it Persia.
Persia, that's it. Yeah.
That's
they've
it.
got a
Persia.
massive, long history, haven't they? Yeah.
Oh yeah, one of the oldest cultures on the planet, certainly. Yeah. And but yeah, it's crazy. I don't know. All these technological advancements. At the end of the day, we're sitting here talking about doing what no one else will do to start getting sales. And if someone wants to get into a fight with you, avoid that fight at all costs. It always helps to use your words. It always helps to use your words, and to talk people through what's going on. It always does. And I guess that's one of the reasons I like sales and negotiate, because when you get attacked or you're having someone confront you, they want to fight you or fight your brothers, like it was in my case. What am I in the middle of? I'm in the middle of selling them peace and nonviolence. We're in a negotiation, so I better learn how to do this. That's where I got my start in selling. Yeah. I started out sales. Well, my first business was borrowing my dad's lawnmower and going around the neighborhood and mowing lawns for like $5 a lawn. This was back in the 70s. Yeah. I mean, that's how I got my first hustle on, my first little business. And I'd go out there and mow lawns in the rain, by the way. People would be looking out their window and it's raining. What are you doing? I'm like, well, I'm not finished, sir. I'm not finished, ma'am. I promised you I'd finish. They'd throw me another $5. I'd make $10 for mowing their lawn because I was out there in the rain. So.
Well, the first gig I did, I was about 14 or 15. I used to work for a farmer at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. We used to deliver milk.
Wow. at 14, you were getting up at 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning?
Yeah, at 5 o'clock in the morning to deliver milk, to local milk round, for the farm.
And that's when you're up north, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. I never did that. My grandmother and grandfather, my mother's side, lived in southeastern Idaho, and they had a small farm, but it was a working farm. They had chickens, they had cows, horses, and it was always great. We'd go visit him, go visit grandma and grandpa, and go to the farm. It was grandpa's farm, and go get us up at the crack ass before dawn, to do that. Milk, get the eggs, do the chores,
Well, I'll never forget him. He was called Bill Yates. And he used to pick me up in this van, and we used to go around and I'd deliver the milk and collect the money and he'd give me change. His hands were they were massive. They were like shovels. I'll never forget. And he used to just go like plonk the change in my hand every time. He was a beast. Farmers are all like massive, aren't they?
I was just going to say, my grandfather was 6'4", looked like the Marlboro Man, broad shoulders, narrow waist, big hands. And it was amazing and strong. Jesus. So strong. It's all the agrarian society. That's right. Absolutely. Yeah. So I was thinking about, let's just try this on for size. If you were to give me a consultation on, I don't know, let's think of something where it would require me to do cold calling or selling myself, or the podcast, or a movie pitch or a television pitch, what would you suggest?
So
and I know you don't know my industry, but I don't think that really matters, does it?
No. So be more specific. Would it be to reach out to like agencies, or would it be to what to actually? Because you mentioned a few things in podcasts. Or
what? There are going to be there'll be actors and artists of all kinds watching this. So yeah, reaching out to agencies.
Okay, so what?
Because I get this question all the time, John, and I think it might be interesting to hear from another perspective.
Well, like you said, I don't really know much about the industry, so I don't really know the best way to kind of hook them. But what you want to do is try and get a hook. So basically, you don't want to have to take too long on the phone with these agency guys. And you also want to find out who you need to speak to. So to do your research on the specific agency that you're connecting to, because there's a good chance that you will end up speaking to a gatekeeper. And if you don't know what a gatekeeper is, what that means is that somebody is going to try and prevent you speaking to Joe Bloggs or Mr. Bigwig or head of the agency or whoever.
That always happens, John. That always happens.
So what you want to do, there's a few different techniques. And one would be to befriend the gatekeeper rather than, because the thing is, the gatekeeper is going to get phone call after phone call every day from people like yourself, that hungry actors that want to get through to Joe Bloggs. We're going to call him Joe Bloggs because he's the main agency guy that everybody wants to speak to about landing the next role. So instead of let's say for example, I ring up now. So it's Janet. She's on reception. So Janet is a gatekeeper. Oh hi. Am I speaking to Janet? Oh hi Janet. How's your morning going so far? See, I don't say right. It's Joe Bloggs her straight away because she's going to get that all the time. How's your day so far, Janet? Is it all right? Yeah, it's been okay so far. Excellent. And how's just maybe ask a few more questions about them personally. How long have you been working for the agency then? Is it all right? So just have a little bit of a chat. That way, you're kind of befriending her rather than just trying to bypass her, because everybody wants to get past her. So that's what she's used to. Not only that, Joe Bloggs has told her not to let anybody past. So you're going to hit that wall over and over again. But if you befriend Janet, Janet's going to like you. Does that make? Oh, you've got a nice voice, Janet. Nice to hear you today. Where are you from originally? That's a lovely accent. I like that. Boom. You know what I mean? You're pulling on a heartstring straight away. So she's going to think, this guy's nice. I like this guy. He's got a bit of character, a bit of charisma, this actor. I like him.
But at least it's a different conversation than what she's having. Right.
Exactly. So it's you
very
pull
smart.
on heartstrings a bit. You've kind of got to in your hand a little bit like putty. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get it like putty in your hand. Would there be any chance of speaking to Joe today? I appreciate he's probably quite busy, but could you put me through, please? Boom.
I that's great. That's smart, because you're not really trying. You realize the first thing they're going to do is say no to you. And that in Hollywood specifically, the first power that everyone is given is the power to say no. And the reason they say no is because Hollywood is largely a gig community, a gig industry. And, unless you become, the big name stars, like myself, but you'd mentioned Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and I think you're just being nice. You didn't say Dar Dixon, and that's okay. I get it.
Well, I didn't think I needed to mention your name because
it's a little bit on the nose. Right.
Dwayne always tries to get your gigs, doesn't he? So
he, nice guy, but honestly, so insecure.
Oh, really?
I still love you. Yeah, I love you, Dwayne. Don't worry. I'm teasing. I don't fucking know Dwayne. We've never met. We've passed each other at award shows and stuff. But the first, everyone wants to protect their ass. It's the cut, as I say inelegantly, it's the cover your ass dance. Everyone's covering their ass, and there's no better way to say, cover your ass than to say no. So what I would add to what you just said, it's very powerful, very powerful. Everybody in sales, everybody in the selling world, and everyone who's not in the selling world who gets approached by a salesperson thinks that yes is all any salesperson wants to hear. And salespeople think it's all about getting to yes. Now, you could argue the merits of that one way or the other. When you make an initial phone call or an initial email contact to somebody, if you know the first thing they want to do is say no to you, get that shit out of the way and do some samurai ninja shit, right? And invert that. What do I mean? Let's say I'm calling you, and you are the gatekeeper for Fox Studios, right? So I call you. You answer the phone. Go ahead.
Yeah, Fox Studios. Good afternoon.
Hi, this is Dar Dixon. I'm calling for Johnny Pancakes.
Okay.
Is Mr. Pancakes available? Is Mr. Pancakes available?
Well, he's a little bit busy today. You can send us over an email at fox.co.uk.
Right. Hey, would it be crazy if I asked you what's the best time to get a hold of Mr. Pancakes?
Well, he's very busy at the moment. He's supposed to not supposed to be taking any calls unless you've booked with him personally or you know him personally, that kind of thing, something like that.
Right. No, I totally understand. I get those calls all the time too. People just calling out of the blue, kind of like this. But would it be crazy, given the fact that we don't even know each other, that I'm asking for this phone call with Mr. Pancakes? Because I know his time's valuable. What I'm doing here is, as we're going down this path, is I'm giving you the opportunity to say no. Right? So you say to somebody, you say like, would it be a bad idea for me to call back tomorrow? And the person be like, well, no, that wouldn't be a bad idea, just to get me off the phone, whatever. But then their defenses get let down, and now you can start to have a communication. Because even with, like, I stopped it early because I don't want to make this weird, like some fucking sales technique program. But you again came back. I said, would it be a crazy idea? Well, he's busy. We really don't talk to people we don't know, whatever. And I kept coming back saying some form of that. I guarantee you, we go down that path long enough, we're still in conversation. We're still in communication. I'm not being pushy. And I'm giving you the opportunity to tell me no. Because once you say no, or that person says no, their defenses get let down. I'm not trying to hustle you. I'm not trying to, put one over on you. I'm just trying to have a communication with you. What say you? What do you think?
Yeah, that's another good approach. There's, like I said, there's not one or two methods. There's plenty of different ones. I mean, again, it depends with the industry. I mean, what you could also do as well, like you say, once you're sort of chatting with the gatekeeper, you could say, okay, I appreciate Johnny Briggs or whatever Pancakes is busy today.
Johnny Pancakes is wicked busy.
What about his PA? Would I be able to speak to her momentarily? I guess.
And that goes back to doing your work. You said a lot of great stuff as we're going down this path. You're right. Any actor, any salesperson, any business person of any kind, if you're not doing your research on who you're going to talk to, you're selling yourself short. Going back, and if you don't know who else is under Johnny Pancakes, who the assistant's name is, isn't that great? He's hot off the griddle.
Boom.
Yeah, exactly. Don't forget to try the fish. I'll be here all week. Tip your waitress. Don't drive drunk. You got to know who you're talking to. You've got to know who's underneath them. And then if you have any real interest in committing, conducting business with someone else, you got to know about them.
Mm.
And it always helps to know something personal. So know who Johnny Pancake's assistant is. Where did Johnny Pancake's assistant work before that? What did Johnny Pancakes do before he became the chief executive director of business affairs at Fox Studios? Is Johnny Pancakes married? Is Johnny Pancakes straight? Is Johnny Pancakes gay? Is Johnny Pancakes transition? Does Johnny Pancakes like to drive?
I won't talk about the sexuality on the first call, though.
I'm inappropriate, so I talk about sex all the time.
No, it's right. No, yeah. Do your homework? Do your homework.
Yeah,
like you say, because then you can bring something up and say,
well, you just did something great. You're like, well, what about Pierre? Flapjack. Would it be hard to get a hold of Pierre Flapjack? Because Pierre Flapjack and Johnny Pancakes used to work together at Paramount before he got to Fox.
Yeah,
you would know that if you didn't do your research. I did that when I started doing the email outreach, like I'd mentioned earlier. I made sure I knew every name of every person I was emailing, who their assistant was, if they had one, where they worked before, how long they'd been there, anything I could find out personally to make it be like, oh, how the fuck did they know that I like the Chicago Bears? Or how do they know I like Manchester? What? Wait, what the? Who is this person? Right? How do they know I can't stand the royal family? How do they know I fucking love Donald Trump? Hate Donald Trump. Whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to figure it out, and you got to use it to your advantage.
Yeah, or you could say something along the lines of, like you say, if you do your research on the actual agency as well, so know how long it's been operating for, know what kind of actors they're looking for, know this, that, and the other, what kind of shows they do. So, Janet, I know that you are currently looking for such and such. I've had so much experience with that kind of role. I know that Johnny Fartpants or Johnny Pancakes is going to really want to speak to me today because I am perfect for this role. Boom. Do your research on not just
Johnny Fat Pants.
not just
nice.
not just the people that are working there, but the agency itself. Know the history, know how long it's been open for. It's been established in 1998 or whatever. Know everything. Do your research. So then you're going to be a shining, gleaming, golden boy as soon as you speak to them.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have more value and you've done your homework, and they respect that. I get people reaching out to me infrequently. No, that's not true. Frequently. And the more press I do, and the more podcasts I do, and the more I get invited on other podcasts, I invariably get people asking me to help them get into Hollywood. And like, what am I supposed to do? What can I say to you? Because if I sit down and talk like this, then it's going to take up a large chunk of my time.
Yeah,
and you're right. And if you're asking me something as unprepared as that question, like, what am I supposed to do? I mean, I can't do it, man. I can't do it. And it just shows me that you don't know the industry. You're not prepared. You don't understand how to sell. You don't understand the value of time, your time especially, as well as my time. And you basically want me to do your work for you, your homework for you. And as much as I always want to help everyone I can in the industry, what happens time and time again is people see something and they think, oh, well, that's easy. I could do that, which happens all the time, acting. Right? Make a movie, be an actor, a director, a writer. Everyone thinks, oh, it's fucking easy. I can do that. Oh, is it? Really? Okay.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, a lot of the time people say it's who you know, isn't it? Who you know. And that'll only get you so far, though, won't it? You've got to put some of your own effort in there as well, haven't you? You can't just rely on other people.
No, you can't. No. Look, at this stage, I know a lot of people, but so what? Unless I'm bringing value to their deal, if I'm bringing value to whatever it is they're doing, what do they care? And vice versa. So if someone's coming to me and saying, help me, get my script read or bought, or help me get an agent, or I can't tell you the crazy shit people have asked me. And I understand. It's when you first start out, it's very daunting, and you don't know where to go, and there is no rule book or there's nothing. There's no playbook. And I always
reminded
tell people,
me. Oh, sorry, go on. Yeah, you just reminded me of something that happened to me the other week, and it's people just try and get more. When you offer a lot of free value out, people try and grab more, don't they? That's what annoys me. It happened to me only about 2 weeks ago. It was a guy we connected on Facebook or something, and he booked a free call. I offer free strategy calls to figure out whether I can help them moving forward, and then maybe coach them or whatever, and then obviously they'll pay from then. But the actual initial call is free, and I think that's because then I can evaluate whether it's going to work or not.
Sure.
But this guy, he goes, right, I do this and I do this, and I'm trying to set up this and this. And I said, right. I said, yeah, I think I might be able to help you that. And he said, would you be happy to come and do a talk for us on closing? And I said, yeah, I can do that. So obviously for free. So I'm thinking, okay, yeah, I can do that. Right. Yeah. So I said I'd do a free talk for him, which normally I could charge for. And then he goes, right, great. And then how many people are you going to bring to the talk? And I went, whoa, wait a minute. So not only do you want me to talk for nothing, you want me to bring you an audience as well? I says, listen, no, I says, forget it. Not happening. So they just want more, and they're not happy with just, I was trying it. So not only had I given him a free strategy session, I was going to give him a free talk as well. But then he also wanted a free audience as well. I went, forget it.
He really thought he was being slick. He was up until he said, can you bring an audience with you?
And he lost it all. Forget it, pal.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's tough, and I don't begrudge anybody for trying to actually have you bring an audience with you. Although, seriously, go fuck yourself, guy.
That's taking the piss, isn't it? Like
it
the
really
free call is enough, isn't it? And that should be enough.
On.
But then the free talk as well, where you can obviously charge people, and then
John, I can tell you from personal experience, with myself, with my wife, who's also an actress, screenwriter, and an author, published author. She's done a lot of speaking engagements.
Yeah.
That whole business, speaking business, everyone thinks it's real easy. Show up, get a check, see you later. It's not like that at all. And frequently what happens in the speaking realm is what you just said. There are those who are trying to get their hustle on like that guy was. And they're hoping that, you're desperate enough to start your business and get a speaking gig, that you'll do all this stuff. But not the way to operate, man. Not the way to operate.
I mean, the way I look at it is I'm not greedy, but that hour that I spend talking, I could do a sales call and make a grand or something.
It's not greedy.
No, it's not a comparison, is it? Time is valuable to anybody, isn't it? Time is more valuable than money. So.
It's the most valuable commodity there is, which is why I don't want to waste anyone's time. And I damn sure don't like anyone who wastes my time. This, like a podcast like this, taking up this much time to do it, I give leeway to it because, even if we end up talking for 15 minutes, an hour and a half, sometimes it's gone 2 hours long. There may be like 2 minutes of pure gold in there that was worth the whole thing, that makes the whole time spent valuable. So it helps to be conscious of time. In that spirit, I've had people reach out to me, male and female, and ironically, it's always the guys who are the most fucking crazy. Well, I don't know if that's fair. Some of the ladies have been quite crazy too, but I try to be very gentle with my response, but very direct to let people know like what time it is. No pun intended. And that they're asking of me is insane.
Ludicrous.
Ludicrous. And it's not because I think I'm some, it has nothing to do with how I view myself in a pecking order. It's my time is better spent. Yeah, my time is better spent. And if I had to charge you for this, you wouldn't be able to afford it, or you wouldn't pay it, or I don't know what. And you try to let them down gently, and invariably, people lose their minds, and they start out real sweet in the first email, And by the second email, when you try to let them down gently, I've been called everything in the book.
The irony is people don't value free stuff anyway. So if I'm giving my time away free, they don't value it anyway. So it's,
you just took the words out of my mouth.
It's just crazy.
You took the words out of my mouth. Yeah. When you charge for it, several things happen. Number one, they value it because they're paying for it.
Turn up on time.
That's exactly right. And the only two ways you get people's attention is in their pocketbook or their heart.
Yeah.
Pretty much that's it, my friends. If it's not affecting my heart or my pocketbook, and by heart, I would also talk about sex in there as well as love. You know, people just aren't going to care. So you charge, they're going to have you're going to have their attention. Number two, you position yourself as you're not going to be wasting anybody's time. This is going to be valuable. And I mean, if you can't, if people aren't willing to commit to that, then what are we talking about? You know, I have people reaching out to me recently, wants me to read a script. Well, first of all, no one accepts an unsolicited script for a number of reasons. Not the least of which is most of the scripts. If you're doing that, you don't understand how the business operates. And number two, your script is probably desperately, woefully not
shockingly
good.
Bad.
Yeah, really bad. You don't understand how to tell a story. It's your first one. It means something to you, but it doesn't mean anything to anybody else. It's not presented in the fashion and manner that people are going to understand. Yeah, don't do that to people. Don't ask them to read your scripts ever, you know? Or if you really want that, if you want your script to be read, then, you know, ask someone what their coverage fee would be. Would you do a consultation on it and give me notes and pay for it? Then it would be worth someone's while to do that, you know, and someone would actually give you notes. And it may not be what you want to hear, but the time that you will save will be invaluable. Anyway.
Agreed.
Listen, man, I think we should wrap this up, but I want to come back and talk again once your course goes live. And
yeah, that's a great idea. I'd also like to have you on the Cold Calling and Closing Mastery show. You don't have to talk. The beauty of my show is just for your audience as well. It's called Cold Calling and Closing Mastery. But what I'd like to do is I do like to talk on topics of sales with sort of sales professionals and that kind of thing, because I always learn from them. Also, I have a lot of martial artists on the show because that's my other passion. But I also just like to talk generally to interesting people that have got a story like yourself, Dar. I've had other actors on. I've actually had Sean Kanan on, who was the Karate Kid 3 bad boy. Sean Kanan, I don't know if you know him. He's just brought a book recently, so I had him on recently. So I've had actors, I've had speakers, I've had authors. So I like to have a nice mixture of people. I don't just want to speak to salespeople or anything like that. So it'll be good to have you on as well.
Love to do it, man. You know, excuse me. One of the most powerful things, let's end it on this, but one of the most powerful things that I found that happens to be a part of relationships and selling, because that's what selling really is. It's developing and building and nurturing a relationship, is to listen, to actively listen. It is one of the most difficult, underused things in the world. And I learned a listening exercise in an acting class a couple decades ago. And I've said this story before, I'll make it real short. I decided I was still looking to have a day job. Like, you know, I hadn't really started to work that much. I'd worked a little bit, but it was like, it's tough. This is a brutal business, especially as an actor, because, you know, you just never know when you're going to get hired again. So you got to have day jobs. So I went to answer this ad to go sell copiers. Yeah. And I thought, I'm going to try this acting exercise, this listening exercise. And so when I sat down in front of the guy for the interview, we had our opening intro, the salvos. I said, I don't know, you know, a couple of minutes of back and forth. And then I said, you know, why don't you tell me, I have two things I'm really interested in. Who's doing the best at this job and who's doing the worst? And what are the things that the best are doing and what are the things that the worst are doing? And how do you see those things could be done better and some things should be eliminated? And then I just went. And for about 45, 50 minutes, all I did was shake my head, nod. Wow, no kidding. Little asides like that. And this guy talked for 50 minutes. The offer for this job was like $28,000, $30,000, the worst area in Los Angeles. No benefits, no car, no nothing, right? Nothing.
Yeah.
Just shit pay. And 50 minutes later, just letting this gentleman talk, he goes, you know what? There's something special about you. I got to introduce you to the president of the company. You're better than this position. I'm in my mind, I'm thinking, what the fuck is going on? And he gets up and leaves the room, and he goes down the hall to the president's office, and they call me down there, and the president goes, I hear great things about you. Glad to have you on board, and welcome to the team. I'm like, great.
What am I doing?
Yeah, what am I doing? What the fuck? They offered me a job with a base salary of $100,000.
Get out.
My right hand to God, with benefits and everything. It turned out to be, I want it's like $150,000, $180,000 a year, full benefits, car allowance, laptop, cell phone, health insurance, vision, everything, 401k.
Yeah.
Because I listened. That's how powerful listening is.
Another one, just before we wrap this up, another very powerful one, this goes for sales professionals, TV presenters, speakers, podcast hosts, you name it. Stories. Once you get good at telling stories, that's going to sell. Stories sell. What is the saying? Have you heard it before? Facts tell, stories sell.
Kind of like the story I just told.
Just like it. But you get people listening, don't you? That's one. It's very good listening yourself, but you also get other people listening when you tell the right stories, or even get them to talk about themselves and tell you their stories. It's two-way traffic.
Exactly, and that's the business I'm in, storytelling. My business is storytelling, and that's such a good thing to end on. I'm glad you brought that up, because I can talk about listening and how important it is, or I can stop myself like I did and tell you the story of what happened to me. And now you're intrigued. You want to know more. Well, you're going to have to talk to John and I.
Yeah. The A-team.
Hey, man, I appreciate your time. It's good talking to you. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to being on your show. Right back at you. Namaste. I don't know what else to do.
In. You can open palm. Fist in open palm.
Yep.
You got it.
Okay. And I'll do a little Persian style. Yeah. But
I understand that.
Of course you did. I said, thank you, sir. I'm at your service. Cool. Yeah. And look forward to doing your show and talking some more about listening and selling and how art is life and life is art.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Nice day, I'll leave links to all of John's sites and how you can reach out to John on Clubhouse, Instagram. Where else can they find you, man? Are you?
Yeah, my Instagram handle is Sales Samurai 80. So there's no gaps. Sales Samurai 80.
I'll put that in.
And yeah, well, you've got the cold calling and closing mastery show that's available on all platforms.
Okay.
Or you can just find me on LinkedIn. I've got the Sales Samurai YouTube channel as well. So all my podcast episodes get uploaded directly to there as well.
Love it. All right, man. Until next time.
Take care. Namaste.
Namaste.